I'm going to do something different. I'm going to kick this off. Usually Andrew does this, and we do it in a very professional format with professional hair. Sorry, I had to throw that out.
Listen, you got me today. I'm relaxed. I'm in my backyard. So I didn't even shave today. Today's actually been a real busy day, but just not my usual wearing a suit and everything. So
I know.
Kick it off.
So look, Paul Lucido here, Andrew Berman there. Andrew's in New York. I'm here all the way on the west coast of California. Andrew heads up the National Mortgage Professional magazine along with his dad, Joel Berman, as well as the Mortgage News Network. So if you guys are listening, and what we're doing is we are recapping our thoughts on 30 Days of Thought. That's the book by Jay Doran. And I decided to pick this topic, which I found very interesting. It's called The Man Who Says Nothing. And hopefully you and I, Andrew, are not those guys. But I've made some notes about this, and I just wanted to kick off a little bit about this analogy. This we'll call it a parable that Jay wrote. I'm going to kind of tee it off, and then I want to just dialogue a little bit. So this one went pretty deep. It actually made me a little uncomfortable. You and I talk about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And what he has to say definitely puts things in perspective. But essentially, I think what he's saying is it's about finding your footing and not remaining silent, having a voice. That essentially what we tend to do, and especially, let's talk about the internet for a minute. We live in a hyperbolic world, if you would agree to that. Information's coming to us fast. People have the attention span of a gnat. I mean, most people are really not, that engaged. There's a lot of likes and a lot of high fives, but there's no real actual engagement when you stop and think about it. And we also tend to praise people that, not necessarily just in our industry, but in any industry, people that tend to have a voice that kind of were predisposed into that position. These are people that may, come into the fray with a high pedigree. They might, just kind of essentially be an individual that has some self-entitlement to be the voice. And a lot of people, is what he's speaking to, have a tendency to just follow. Yet at the same time, he's trying to say, and I'll just give you just my notes here, if you don't mind me reading off my notes. Essentially, there's a tendency that by giving praise, we are inadvertently building up those that may not be deserving of it. In other words, I always like to say, we tend to perpetuate the myth. And ultimately, those of us, which is the majority, are kind of shackled up with fear and have a tendency not to speak up. And we place these people on a pedestal, so to speak. And ultimately, this mask of the fake alpha, as he calls it, is essentially saying nothing. These men are essentially saying nothing. So let's kind of start with that. And I want to get your thoughts. And we can kind of go from there. We can try to keep this succinct. But that's kind of what I got out of it, just initially. So
something, I read this and I started to think back, actually, we were doing a lot of seminars, was one sponsor, was a big sponsor of these seminars, mortgage company. And we had one of our speakers actually that spoke at a few of our events, very popular speaker. And they were popular at that time. When they got done, because I remember walking out of the room, and you get that, that feel good feeling, but there was nothing there. And someone walked out of the room and they said to me, "I've never heard someone use so many words and say so little." And so I just, when I'm reading this book, reading this passage, which by the way, I had to read twice, to kind of, to get anything, to pull anything out of this. But
correct.
And and that's what I got out of it. That's what I was basically, it's, and in the room, by the way, was just enthralled with what this guy was saying. I don't know that they got a message from him, but they were, oh, yes, yes. He said a lot, but he didn't give a lot of substance.
You know, so I want to speak to that. And listen, for those of you listening, and maybe you'll disagree with me on this, you know, being in marketing and advertising, so I want to be clear, and Andrew, you're out there, you know, you're doing PR. Part of our job is to promote. Part of our job is to remain positive. Part of our job is to always look at the glass half full versus half empty.
Yep.
Sometimes I have to look and take a deep look at what's going on out there on social media. And sometimes, and this is just my opinion, and please, I don't want to be offensive here, but the pool is really on the shallow end of it. It's very shallow. And a lot of people are wading in the shallow end of the pool. The internet is littered with platitudes and hyperboles and, you know, lofty statements and flowery language.
Yeah.
And it's easy to throw that stuff out. What's more difficult is to really have an actual conversation about it and really talk about it and really understand what's going on out there. You know, there are a lot of very pretty people that post things, say 3 bars, and they feel like they just, you know, really made a huge contribution. Everybody's following along and applauding and high-fiving as if they really said something. And I think that's what contributes to the lack of depth that we have out there. So I'm not saying that you need to be an intellectual, because we get it. A lot of that could put people to sleep. But we have to make sure that, you know, whatever our actions are in alignment with what we're saying, that we're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. It goes back to what we talked about before. And I think if I was feeling Jay, and I felt it when I read, especially the latter part of his, the second page there, you know, I know he's not trying to be offensive, but apparently he's having that feeling too. We have a tendency to appraise people, pedestalize them, and give applause, and they may not really be deserving of it. And there are a lot of people that remain silent, that have a lot to say, that actually will not say anything. They tend to stay reserved. They tend to stay behind the scenes. And what Jay is saying is those people need to make a change. Those people need to have a voice. And hopefully when they do, they actually have something that has merit, something that could make a difference. You know, you and I both know, I just wrote that article, and hopefully it'll get out there, living on video. And we're all living on video now. Everybody's getting their 15 minutes of fame in 60 seconds,
Yeah.
right? So everybody's a celebrity now. Everybody's a star. But there are a few out there that actually have credibility and have actually proven their successes. But it's not just all about being successful. There are other things to discuss that are more on the humanity side of things. And I feel like that's where Jay was going here. He's really trying to get in touch with the people that probably sit back and go, really? You guys are following this puppet over here? You know, and that could even go on a political level, and I don't want to go there because that's not what this is about. But those are the kinds of things that, you know, are happening out there. And that was kind of my
someone just gave a thumbs up, so they think it's about that.
So I'm just saying essentially, and look, I don't want to get too broad and deep. Look, we're all out there trying to do the right thing. We're all trying to put good content out there. We're all trying to have some good dialogue. But a lot of it, I go back, in my opinion, is in the shallow end of the pool. There's just really isn't that much depth out there. Unless you dive into the TED Talks and you really go into some of these podcasts where people are really dialoguing and really trying to put some good information out there. But a lot of it on social media, all these platitudes, you know, I always go back to the same thing. How many times can we see this guy on top of the mountain? You know, I've achieved success, dream big, you can do it too. I get it. Keep feeding me that all day long, keep me charged up. But can you actually give me something? Can you tell me something? Can you speak to me like a human being and really connect with me? And I think that's what's missing. Now, maybe that's my age speaking. I don't know. And I know a lot of great people in the industry, as you do too. We got some real top performers out there, some very smart, intelligent people that do have depth.
Yeah.
So this is just more of kind of touching on Jay's point of view. And again, we live in a hyperbolic world. We just do. It's the world we're in. So anyway, I've rattled enough. I've said nothing.
You've said, listen,
why don't you go ahead and say something?
You've said a lot. Listen, but this is. I think Paul. I think this forum. You're able to do. I mean, just such a great analysis of Jay's. Jay's content. Sorry about that. I was just getting a phone call. You're able to do such a great analysis of Jay's content, your interpretation is just priceless. I mean, I pulled something from this, but your ability to express it is just so powerful. So I do this actually so I can learn off of you, and I hope actually that people that are watching this, are able to do two things. One, understand actually what we're doing here. Understand actually that we're trying to do this to be uncomfortable, or to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Talking about actually, Jay's book, 30 days of thought, and to try to get people to, if they feel something, that they're very strong about, and that they feel deep down in their heart, that is going to be more powerful, than hearing someone say the same thing over and over again because they've memorized some kind of a speech and they know that it motivates people. And I think that's kind of like one of the points of this section. If people spoke from their heart, if they spoke, purely about their motives, and their words match their motives, match their intentions, match their principles, I think we'd all be in a better place. So I'm blessed and honored to be a part of this, and I think that's all I got for today.
No, listen, I think we said enough, but we don't want to put these people to sleep. But what you said, I agree with 100%. And again, for people that are listening, here's what's really an interesting thing. People can see through people. Most people can see the transparency. If you're too contrived, if you're trying to act a little too much, sometimes that doesn't resonate. What people are looking for is for you to be real. Keep it real. Don't be contrived. And that comfort will come with time the more and more you do this. What am I listening to back there? I hear birds chirping back there.
Yeah, I'm in my backyard. Yeah.
Anyway, look, I think we've survived, my man. Beautiful.
It's a little barren. We haven't set it up for the summer yet. We're still in winter mode here.
So look, I think we've said everything we can say. Hopefully, if you guys want to chime in and throw your comments in there, give us your thoughts. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stimulate some conversation, and hopefully, we'll have something good to talk about on our next one. Do you have another topic lined up for us as we continue to journey through 30 days of thought?
That's good, Steve A. Mockingbirds. I don't. I'm going to. I have a couple we'll talk about this offline. I think I'm gonna end my side of here because I just got a message. I know we were supposed to get on this at 4:00, but my internet issues, hence why I'm not inside at my desk and doing this outside to make sure I got a good connection. So we conclude with this. We will meet next time, Tuesday at 4:00. I think 4:00 New York time, 1:00 California time.
Perfect.
All right.
Beautiful. Have a great day. Thank you, Andrew, for your time, and I look forward to our next session.
Awesome. All right. Take care.